Let me ask you something honest. How many times have you told yourself you were going to change? Maybe it was going to the gym. Maybe it was reading more. Maybe it was finally starting that thing you keep putting off. And for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, you actually did it. Then life happened. And slowly, without even noticing, you drifted back to exactly where you started. Don't feel bad about that. Because here's what nobody tells you. You didn't fail because you lacked discipline. You didn't fail because you weren't motivated enough. You didn't fail because you're lazy. You failed because you were using the wrong system. James Clear spent years studying the science of human behavior, interviewing world-class performers, and researching how the brain actually forms habits. And what he discovered is both simple and completely counterintuitive. Massive success doesn't come from massive effort. It comes from tiny changes, repeated consistently, that compound over time into results that look almost miraculous from the outside. He called it atomic habits, and in the next 22 minutes, I'm going to walk you through every idea in this book so you can finally understand why your habits keep failing and exactly what to do differently starting today. Let's go. Before we get into the ideas, I want to tell you something about James Clear himself, because this book isn't just theory. In high school, Clear was a promising baseball player. Then one day during practice, a teammate accidentally hit him in the face with a baseball bat. The impact was severe. He suffered multiple skull fractures. He stopped breathing twice. Doctors weren't sure he would fully recover. He spent months relearning the basics: how to walk properly, how to focus, how to function. When he finally got back on his feet, he wasn't the same player. He wasn't even close. But instead of giving up, Clear started doing something that would shape the next decade of his life. He focused on the smallest possible improvement he could make each day. Not a complete transformation. Not a dramatic overhaul. Just one tiny thing, done slightly better than yesterday. And slowly, impossibly slowly, things started to change. He made it onto the college baseball team, then the freshman all-conference team. Then he graduated, started writing, and built one of the most read personal development blogs in the world. All from the same principle: small habits, consistent repetition, compounding results. That's the book. Now let's break it down. Clear opens the book with a story about the British cycling team. In 2003, the team was a disaster. They hadn't won a single major race in over 76 years. Equipment manufacturers refused to sell them gear because they didn't want to be associated with a losing team. Then a new coach arrived. His name was Dave Brailsford, and he had one idea. He called it the aggregation of marginal gains. The theory was simple. If you break down every single thing that goes into riding a bike, absolutely everything, and then improve each element by just 1%, those tiny improvements will add up to a result far greater than anyone would expect. Brailsford's team redesigned the bike seats to be more comfortable. They rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip. They hired a surgeon to teach riders how to wash their hands properly to reduce illness. They tested different types of massage gels. They brought their own pillows to hotels so the riders slept consistently well. 1% improvements in dozens of tiny areas most coaches never even thought about. 5 years later, the British cycling team won 60% of the gold medals available at the 2008 Olympic Games. Then they won the Tour de France in 2012. Then again in 2013. 1% at a time. Clear uses this story to introduce the central idea of the entire book. If you get 1% better at something every single day, by the end of 1 year, you will be 37 times better than when you started. If you get 1% worse every single day, you'll decline to nearly zero. Same time, same effort, completely different direction. The math is the same. The outcome is everything. This next idea is the one that hit me hardest in the entire book. Clear argues that there are 3 levels of change. The first level is changing your outcomes. This is what most people focus on. Lose 20 pounds, read 12 books, make more money. The second level is changing your process. This is about systems and habits. Going to the gym 3 times a week, reading before bed, saving 10% of income. The third level, and this is the one most people completely miss, is changing your identity. Not what you want, not what you do, who you believe you are. Clear says this is where most habit change fails at the deepest level. Here's the example he uses. Imagine two people trying to quit smoking. Someone offers both of them a cigarette. The first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." Same behavior, completely different identity. The first person still sees themselves as a smoker who is fighting against their nature. The second person has shifted who they are. And Clear argues that every habit you build is essentially a vote for the identity you want to become. Going to the gym once isn't significant on its own, but going to the gym once is a vote for the identity of someone who exercises regularly. Go enough times and your brain starts to accept, I am someone who exercises. The behavior no longer requires motivation. It becomes identity. This is why Clear says the real goal of habit building is never the outcome. The real goal is to become the type of person who naturally produces that outcome. Now let's get into the mechanics of how habits actually work. Clear breaks every habit down into 4 stages. He calls it the 4 laws of behavior change. The first stage is the cue. This is the trigger that initiates a behavior. A notification on your phone, the smell of coffee in the morning, sitting down on the couch after work. The second stage is the craving. This is the motivational force behind every habit. You don't crave the habit itself. You crave the change in state the habit produces. You don't crave checking your phone. You crave the relief from boredom or anxiety that checking your phone provides. The third stage is the response. This is the actual habit itself, the thought or action you perform. The fourth stage is the reward. This is the end goal of every habit. The reward satisfies the craving and teaches your brain that this loop is worth repeating in the future. Clear then gives 4 laws, one for each stage, that you can use to build any good habit you want. Law 1, make it obvious. Design your environment so the cues for good habits are impossible to miss. Law 2, make it attractive. Link habits to something you genuinely enjoy. Law 3, make it easy. Reduce the friction between you and the habit as much as possible. Law 4, make it satisfying. Give yourself an immediate reward after completing the habit. And to break bad habits, simply invert every law, make it invisible. Make it unattractive. Make it difficult. Make it unsatisfying. This is my personal favorite idea in the entire book. Clear calls it habit stacking. The idea is this. Your brain is already running hundreds of automatic habits every single day without you even thinking about them. Brushing your teeth, making coffee, sitting at your desk, checking your phone. These habits are deeply ingrained neural pathways, grooves that your brain slides into automatically. Habit stacking says, instead of trying to build a new habit from scratch, attach it to an existing one. The formula is simple. After I do this, I will do that. After I pour my morning coffee, I will read for 10 minutes. After I sit down at my desk, I will write 3 things I'm grateful for. After I brush my teeth at night, I will do 10 push-ups. By linking a new behavior to an existing automatic one, you borrow the momentum of a habit that already exists. Your brain doesn't have to create a new neural pathway from nothing. It just adds a new stop to a route it already travels. Clear argues this is one of the most practical and immediately applicable ideas in all of behavioral science. I want to talk about the idea in this book that I think gets dismissed the most, but is actually one of the most powerful. Clear calls it the 2-minute rule. When you're starting a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Read before bed each night. Start with reading 1 page. Do yoga every morning? Start with putting on your yoga clothes. Study for the exam? Start by opening your notes. This sounds almost insultingly simple. I know, when I first read it, I thought the same thing. But here's what Clear understands about human psychology that most people miss. Starting is the hardest part. Not continuing, not maintaining. Starting. The 2-minute rule is designed to make starting so ridiculously easy that your brain has no resistance to overcome. Because once you start, most of the time you keep going. The person who committed to reading 1 page usually reads 10. The person who put on their gym clothes usually goes to the gym. Clear says the goal of the 2-minute rule is not the 2-minute action itself. The goal is to master the art of showing up. Because showing up consistently, even for just 2 minutes, builds the identity of someone who does the thing. And identity is everything. Clear makes an argument in this section that genuinely changed how I think about willpower. He says most people believe that people with strong habits have extraordinary willpower or discipline. They don't. People with strong habits have designed their environment, so they rarely need willpower at all. He uses the example of Anne Thorndike, a doctor at Massachusetts General Hospital. Without changing anything about the hospital cafeteria menu, she simply rearranged where different foods were placed. Water was moved to sit alongside every food station. Sodas were moved to the back of the refrigerators. Over the next 3 months, without a single person being told to change their diet, soda sales dropped 11%. Water sales increased 25%. Nobody made a conscious choice. Their environment made the choice for them. Clear says this is the real secret to behavioral change. Don't rely on motivation. Don't rely on discipline. Design your environment so that the right behavior is the path of least resistance. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow every morning? Want to eat better? Put fruit on the counter and junk food in a hard-to-reach cabinet. Want to exercise more? Sleep in your gym clothes, Clear says. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. This might be the most important concept in the book for anyone who feels like they're putting in the work but not seeing results. Clear calls it the plateau of latent potential. He uses the image of an ice cube. Imagine you're in a room at 25 degrees. Cold, but the ice cube just sits there. You turn up the heat. 26 degrees, still nothing. 27, 28, 29. The ice cube looks exactly the same. Then you hit 32 degrees, and the ice cube starts to melt. Was all that warming between 25 and 31 degrees wasted? Of course not. Every degree mattered. You just couldn't see the change happening. Clear argues that habits work the same way. You might work on a new habit for weeks or months and see almost no visible result. And that's the moment most people quit. They assume the habit isn't working, so they abandon it and try something else. But the work wasn't wasted. The change was accumulating below the surface. And just like the ice cube melts suddenly at 32 degrees, results in habits often arrive suddenly after a long period of invisible progress. Clear calls this the breakthrough moment. The people who reach it are not more talented or more disciplined than the people who quit. They are simply the people who stayed in the room long enough for the temperature to reach 32 degrees. This idea is short, but I think it's one of the most practically useful things in the entire book. Clear says, everyone misses a habit eventually. Everyone has the day where they skip the gym, where they eat the pizza, where they don't write the page. Missing once is human. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. Clear's rule is simple. Never miss twice. You missed yesterday? You absolutely show up today. No negotiation, no exceptions. Because the real damage of missing a habit is never the single miss itself. It's the story you start telling yourself after the miss. I always do this. I knew I couldn't stick to it. What's the point? That story, not the missed day, is what ends habits. Never miss twice stops the story before it starts. One bad day is a speed bump. 2 bad days is the beginning of a new direction. Choose the speed bump every time. So here's the full picture James Clear is painting. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You don't need a massive dramatic transformation. You need to get 1% better at one thing today. Stack that improvement onto an existing habit. Design your environment so the right choice is the easy choice. Build the identity of the person you want to become. One small decision at a time. And when you miss, because you will miss, never miss twice. The British cycling team didn't win the Tour de France by being dramatically better than everyone else. They won by being slightly better at an enormous number of very small things. Your life works exactly the same way, not in dramatic leaps, in tiny, daily, barely noticeable improvements that compound silently over months and years into something that looks from the outside like overnight success. The only question is, what's your 1% today? If this breakdown was useful, hit subscribe. Every week I break down books that actually change how you live, not just how you think. Drop a comment below and tell me, which idea from Atomic Habits are you going to use first? I read every single one. See you next week.